it's not to discredit Brendan, like what he has is true and right, low back ability, but what I just want to provide is a gentler but an easier entry point to that for people that just for some reason cannot get the back extension to work. Because that was me for months. I was trying to get it to work for months, opening my hip flexors. I was still hanging, doing the hangs whilst it wasn't working. I tried to make it work like desperately a lot, and it was just something about it just wasn't right. And then I had an intuition in one session to go do a some seated good mornings, just not as a replacement, but as something to help get into but I noticed a profound, like it was much better. The missing piece for me was the seated good morning, but it's not the seated good morning where you arch, it's the seated good morning where you sort of had this little slight round at the low back and you're trying to arch. It's a weird form, and but I explain it as best I can. Because the really arch version of the seated good morning like fucked my spine up so bad. And I didn't have any extra weight or anything. It was the only variable that changed was how I was manipulating the arches and the tilts in the certain areas. And then I figured out this sequence, which is hang, seated good morning with posterior pelvic tilt while still trying to arch the mid and upper back. Switches on all the joints, activates and primes, and then you get into the back extension. And that was my breakthrough. And that makes the back extension feel amazing. And then after that, you follow Brendan's progression exactly. Just enough to switch it on and get it all stabilized and primed. And then you get into the back extension and you're able to receive that angle a lot better. And so I discovered a breakthrough with that, and I must share it. So, because there's surely some other people that are having issues troubleshooting that. And yeah, give it a try, commit to making it work. It's like, I'm not trying to arch, well I am, but at the low back, I'm trying to sort of, you know how you sort of like, you know how you chin tuck, and it sort of elongates the spine? It's sort of the same thing when posteriorly tilting the low back. So you do that, but with the mid and upper, you still want to look like arch back, but with the lower back, it's an anterior tilt, a posterior tilt. And I just literally hold this. Body weight's sweet. If it's your first time, you're gonna get a great activation. Now just hold and just really try to feel along this. Sometimes you get a bit of neck engage. And you can hold a dumbbell, something like this. And it just switches on everything that's along the spine. So I'll hang first. And so for me, the hanging does is it gets all the kinks out and sort of puts all the joints in place. If you've been kind of sedentary and a bit crooked, so you get all the cracks out. You do some diaphragm breaths for a few minutes and a few sets of that, 45 seconds, and then come into this. For me, this is what it does. This is my perspective on it. And then with this sort of, once they're all in place, this sort of switches them all on and then primes it, and then you can get into the back extension. This was a huge breakthrough for me. You can hold here, nice activation. You can increase it slightly. I don't really go all the way down. For this, you can get some trap 3 in. Very nice. Putting your head on the pad. And then, back extension. A form cue with the back extension for me, which I think is very helpful. With concentric, eccentric, like when you're doing the reps, you want to assist with the eccentrics, because the eccentrics are more damaging motions. You don't want that to tear you up as much, but you don't want to let go and then contract. You want to sort of like push slightly onto the concentric and then let go and let your spine sort of do the rigorous concentric to accumulate the pump. When you do that with each rep, so you assist down, slightly push, and then contract. And you do that in the range that feels right for you. It'll feel a bit off when you're starting to get out of range that you're not ready for. And the reason why you want to push onto the concentric is because when reversing the weight, when you do like drop catches, or like if you drop catching, that's sort of essentially you're reversing the direction of the weight, and that instantaneous change in direction is a lot more, there's weight behind it, so that requires a lot more attention, and it could be more damage. So I like to just assist through that part and and kind of cheat it. You like when getting blood flow, you want to cheat the eccentric. It's so like counterculture, but it's true for rehab. You want to cheat the eccentric and just get a great concentric, deep, rigorous contraction. So I think that's about it. Any more points? No. So just recap, decompress, get all the kinks out, right? Get all those joints in the same, aligned properly. What I like to do whilst I'm hanging, I'll usually hang for sets of 45 seconds, 3 to 4 times, right? And whilst I'm hanging, what you want to do is deep diaphragm breaths, right? Like vacuum seal breaths, and then twist a bit, kind of wiggle around, get all the kinks out. You want to hear those little pops all come out. Got all the kinks out, and all the joints would be better in place temporarily. And then with the seated good morning, you're getting all those joints activated and on the same page and firing. The form cues are posterior pelvic tilt with the low back, but with the mid and the upper back, you're arching. So that's how you sort of switch on the whole spine there. Yeah, and then the back extension, and then you're on your way. So good luck. So it was very helpful for me. When you're starting to rehab an area, the muscle is going to be very not well conditioned. So any very light thing that you do, you can get a better activation and blood flow much easier. So capitalize on that as much as you can in the early stages, because as that muscle gets more conditioned, you're going to need to progress in some way, and that can be more difficult. You might have to buy something or get a weight that you can help, or just, you know what I mean? So
full knee bend or a deep squat is like a 45-degree back extension, and I'd say a sissy squat is like a Jefferson curl. So it's very aggressive angle and very long range, really leaning on the ligaments of the spine. These longer ranges hit more connective tissue stuff. This stresses the ligaments more and therefore emphasizes them more. You can target them more, the tendons and ligaments more in these deeper positions for development and growth, or for, rupture and tear if you're not ready for that range and tension yet. But you can't start with these longer ranges first. You have to bring blood flow in and around the tissue first with like a seated good morning ISO or a back extension ISO, whatever works for you. What the blood does is when it bathes the tissue in blood, it's more compliant and warm, and it's more pliable, and it's able to receive load better rather than if it was cold. Because if it's cold and stiff, it's a bit more prone to breaking and a bit more prone to too much damage, and the movement won't feel right as well, because if you're not stabilized and it's just cold, it'll ache and be really aggressive on the joint. So you want to bring blood into there. It's more risky and injury prone, so you want to warm up first. Obviously, just warm up the tissues, and you do that with concentric dominant blood flow or seated good morning ISO. And you want to finish with some very slight rounding. It might not even look like rounding, as long as it feels like rounding. You're contracting from there, you're getting rounding stimulus, and you're leaning on the ligaments, and they're going to adapt. You just stay in that range, whatever's comfortable, and you just get a sick fucking pump there, right? And you'll feel it. You'll have a nice erector pump pause, and that's what I'd recommend. This is muscular range. This is short range for the spine. And this rounding is long range for the spine, right? So you start your short range. This does not emphasize the ligaments at all. And when I only do this and neglect this, like we all do and have done, what happens, right? You run into herniation, ligaments issues, DDD, right? Degenerative disc disease, ligament weakness, your joints collapsing in on itself because you're not stressing it properly. Use it or lose it, seriously. So this range, no matter how much load you put through here, you're not leaning on the ligaments. You're getting a pump in a shorter range. You might get some, but I disagree. I think whenever I only do this and neglect this, my problems get worse. And so I have to pair this shorter range pump with some rounding, and that's the ATG magic. It's short range plus long range. This is muscular range. This is short range for the spine. And this rounding is long range for the spine, right? This does not emphasize the ligaments at all. And when I only do this and neglect this, like we all do and have done, what happens, right? You run into herniation, ligaments issues, DDD, right? Degenerative disc disease, ligament weakness, your joints collapsing in on itself because you're not stressing it properly. Use it or lose it, seriously. So this range, no matter how much load you put through here, you're not leaning on the ligaments. You're getting a pump in a shorter range. You might get some, but I disagree. I think whenever I only do this and neglect this, my problems get worse. And so I have to pair this shorter range pump with some rounding, and that's the ATG magic. It's short range plus long range. The muscles are really shortened here, and it's just muscular vascular dominant, and here would be connective ligament dominant, right? And the cool thing is, between here and here, as you're starting to round and contract, you're also getting a deeper pump, right? And you don't want to get carried away. If you're progressing range in one session, you will be humbled when you wake up.
With the chiropractic comment I made, it's not to discredit chiropractors. Like, they do some amazing work, and I've seen some really deformed people go in there and turn out a lot better. But like, we have to be real with the core, what's going on at the root. What that stimulus is actually doing and what it's not doing, and it's not strengthening any ligaments that hold the spine together. So, and there's a sequence to that, and you just bring pump to the vascular tissue, and you just lean on the ligaments. So